Welcome to the Peak Performance and Peak Satisfaction podcast with Master Executive Coach Sherry Gregoff. Sherry helps business people perform better, get rewarded handsomely, and actually enjoy their work. After having her own career turnaround, she now helps other high-powered business professionals experience the same. Join the movement to work differently.
Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. Most of my new clients as of late are searching for their next professional opportunity. They include leaders who are simply ready for a new challenge, those who have outgrown their current role and organization, and those whose teams were eliminated in a layoff. No matter the circumstances that you find yourself in, if you are searching for your next opportunity, there is a formula to sustain your search and reach your desired outcome. Anybody can do it with the right blueprint and mindset. Before we jump in, I want to shout out one of my clients who had a win in this area. Here is the quote from him. "Measuring my inputs is good to do to keep me consistent on preparation and to celebrate what's working. I've learned that taking action helps a lot. I've also learned that multiple firms are truly interested in me by tracking the outreach. I've been having a little more fun outside of work, outside of thinking about the search. As I'm more relaxed, I'm performing better in interviews and at work." This client has been making bold moves. While coaching together in the last year, he interviewed externally and internally to his firm in search of growth and career advancement. He ended up accepting an internal opportunity. Months later, post a reorg and a change in manager, it's not what he hoped it would be. Lovely people, decent enough work, but not the right fit for the long haul. So he rolled up his sleeves and got to work on a fully external search. So much of this search process has been maintaining the mindset to do it well and to sustain it. There are strategies and tactics galore, but what I find can really set us back is letting our brains run wild in the uncertainty, and especially with our identity and self-worth often wrapped up in our careers. This client is methodical about jotting down his thoughts throughout the week, so that when we coach, we can discover what's behind the tough moods or urges to ruminate or distract himself instead of doing what he knows will help his future. Do the unhelpful thoughts still bubble up for him? They do. But it happens less frequently and for shorter duration than it used to. We have practiced what perspective is more true and constructive enough that he sees the way out faster and brings himself back on track faster. He is able to take constructive action even when the cloud of unhelpful thoughts arrive. Beyond the mindset around strategy and action, he's tracking the inputs to his search and giving himself credit where he hadn't in searches before. This focus on what he can directly control empowers him in the search and motivated him to take the actions that he 100% knows will increase the probability of closing on a new job. In his case, he is masterfully leveraging his network, connecting with people, offering his services, following up, preparing for discussions, and interviewing. He manages the search like a project, tracking opportunities and dutifully following up. He is leveraging the skills that he uses in his actual work and manages the search as methodically. He does this while also performing in his current role, even with newer relationships and a newer scope. Having suffered from burnout in the past, he has a fear of overdoing it, winding up the search too fast that he won't be able to sustain his current role and the search simultaneously. But every week he proves that theory wrong. He has learned to trust himself, to know when more prep will harm his performance in the interview, and when it's time for rest and relaxation, to then show up his best. He's doing so many things right. When roles don't work out, he trusts it's for a reason. He learns what he can from that role and the process, and then incorporates it for the next one. He sets his goal to be planting seeds. He doesn't entertain staring at the ground, fretting that the growth is invisible above ground yet. By measuring his inputs, he is certain he is doing exactly what he thinks will give him the best chance at finding the right fit job for him the soonest. He celebrates every seed planted in the way of outreach, connection, and interviews as evidence of the process working. Burnout? It's not on the table. He takes days off. He's feeling more relaxed now than ever and is realizing that frame of mind will only help his performance in panel interviews. Similar victories are shared by all of my clients, and I have experienced it too in my own career turnaround. So let's hop to today's podcast content and get you on your way to experiencing this also. Right up front today, I want to call out that I'm hosting my next masterclass on June 25th at 11 a.m. Eastern, entitled Take Charge of Your Career in 3 Essential Steps. This is where we cover how to create opportunities instead of waiting for them to happen. I'm dropping the first link in the show notes for you to register and get the Zoom details. I look forward to seeing you there. Today's client win is from just one client, but if I can brag on my client's behalf just for a minute, let me tell you, my clients are creative and resourceful, like next level. Feel free to borrow their ideas and inject them into your own search. I thought this would be a fun place to start today. I sometimes joke how we usually hear the horror stories in job searches. It's kind of like labor and delivery stories. We just love sharing the outlier experiences of labor lasting multiple days or everything that went wrong. Both times that I was pregnant, I would marvel at how people would dwell on their negative experiences with me as I anticipated my own fate. We just simply don't give airtime to the labor and deliveries that were smooth and fast. I purposely share my stories with expecting parents so that they can know that it's possible it works out well and have more hope and optimism. So yes, this is our starting point to hear about bold moves that worked well for others. One client flew across country on a whim to hang out near a conference that would bring many contacts in his industry together in one city. He filled his days with coffee chats, lunches, and dinners that turned into interviews, all without a ticket to the actual conference itself. Multiple interviews were born that day. Have you ever been so bold? Something to consider. Another client keeps in touch with former managers and colleagues such that he has a wide network of insiders at different companies. He also has a set of headhunters and matchmakers that he has found and nurtured who bring him in early on openings before they get posted, like a realtor with a pocket listing. He does coffee chats and drinks with open agendas just to connect with people and to exchange information. In what can be a close-knit industry and a specialized function, it can feel like a game of musical chairs. This doesn't deter him. When someone moves seats, it sets a ripple into the ecosystem, so there can always be movement and opportunity. Another client attends conferences, MCs conferences and panels, shows up as the strongest energy in the room, and just lets her presence be seen. She feels magnetic and draws in people to conversations that form all kinds of collaboration and friendships from there. When she decided she wanted to work for companies with mission-driven mandates, she rolled up her sleeves and got to work, building relationships and reaching out until she had a lineup of interviews at companies that inspired her. I hear so often that the person they spoke to wasn't hiring at the moment, but decided to make room or to make a role to bring them into. I see so often that it was a matter of getting the repetitions in that made them comfortable and fluent enough in having these conversations so that they could relax, be themselves, and let their brilliance shine in the conversations that ultimately landed their next role. I share these anecdotes as inspiration that there is no one right way to do a search. The first takeaway today is that there are a slew of creative ways to source and land your next job, so embrace the creativity and resourcefulness. Takeaway 2 is that if you're repeating to yourself that you're doing it wrong, surprise, that won't help you. But mining your brain for what feels like off-the-wall moves to meet people, to let them know your specialty and how you help businesses, with an open door to help them or people they know, that's where the valuable ideas come from. This is the second takeaway. Whenever you are at a loss for the quote-unquote right next step, make a hypothesis and then try it. Clarity comes from action. Like my kids currently collecting their report card grades in science, it's lab time. No more researching or pondering different versions of what to do next. You have a best hypothesis, a best guess, and now it's time for the experiment to see if you are right. This is far more accurate and helpful field work than asking AI, who doesn't have the context for the specific role and location and criteria that are important to you. The best wisdom in your unique situation is posing that hypothesis, implementing, gauging feedback, iterating, and going again. There's no shortcut. A client reflected to me this week that she never had to search before. Roles came to her. Roles recruited her. But when we investigated more closely, she noted that none of them were simple, actually. So every career change takes effort. It's good to have that clarity so that you can get to work. I think sometimes we are gauging our experience against a perfect benchmark that doesn't exist, like a job landing in your doorstep. Don't resist doing the work. Don't resist the effort. Don't resist learning by doing. It will only serve to slow you down. Go ahead and get after what you want. Third in our agenda for sustaining the search is recognizing what a successful search is like. I'd like to share a set of stages that appear in any job search. While these are common, I find that more often than not, we start a search in denial or hoping for a fast-track solution. You know me by now. I like waiting expectantly for the exceptional results to come our way, but it's never with idle hands. We take action to contribute to the better future coming to fruition now. It's never overnight success. There are stages. You can move through them fast, but recognizing them will prove to you that you are making progress. The final goal not yet achieved, but the journey and ground covered, valuable and worthy of celebration as you go. Like mastering any new skill, that learning process can feel like graduating through different stages of failure, which it helps to celebrate rather than lamenting the final outcome not yet being reached. It goes like this. It may start with researching companies and roles. Maybe you are scanning LinkedIn job history profiles for inspiration. Maybe you are looking up what companies are closest to where you live, or most admired companies, or best place to work lists. I call this window shopping. It's useful, but only when you take the next step. Be sure to track how long you spend window shopping, as it can become a black hole. Nothing is real until you make contact. Next, you might passively rage apply, maxing out on roles that could potentially be a fit and firing off applications in your resume as far and wide as it can go. But then, crickets, or a couple of rejections. In this day and age, feedback or even an acknowledgement is uncommon. So, there's a lot of silence. It can feel deafening. You may be tempted to give up, or take a break, or walk away. But the more productive move here is to celebrate having thrown your hat in the ring. For some companies, there is no candidate until there is an application. So well done on taking that first step. And now you graduate to the next level. Start talking to humans beyond filling in online applications. Out in the wild. Yes. Live, synchronous connection. Let's talk about 2 common ways to do this. The virtual coffee chat, whether you bring coffee, tea, or water. The world is our coffee shop, thanks to Zoom. Asking to connect with a clear objective, an agenda with another human. Short and sweet. Do your friends and family know that you are looking? Have you thought about who you know in your industry and reached out to say hello? There are also networking events, conferences, and networking groups created for this very purpose. Whether in person or virtual, you will find other people interested in connecting. Now, there is much ado about networking, which I explore in detail in a separate podcast episode that I will link up in the show notes for you. If you are searching for your next opportunity, it's time to step away from the computer and speak to humans. Contact people in your network. Contact people working at companies you want to learn more about. Contact others in networking groups. Contact alum from university or companies. Talk to people in person, even without needing to get something from them, with the aim to connect and be curious about what opportunities might present themselves. Offer to help them where you can. Now, when you do this, you may not hear back from people. You might schedule a chat and someone might not show up. You may meet lovely people and learn what restaurant or vacation spot you need to check out next, but no leads on your next job. This could be a time where you throw up your hands and give up on this avenue. You decide it's safer and more comfortable to stay behind your computer screen, typing, rather than talking. But I would offer that any conversation is additive. There's 7 degrees of separation after all. We were meant for connection. Even practicing telling your story and what you are interested in next will help prepare you for the conversation where it might make all the difference to your career. The next stage from here is that you may have an application hit and ask you in for an interview, or a coffee chat that turns into a chat about a job. Hooray! So you go and be authentically you and put that practice to work in a conversation with higher stakes. Sometimes you will be completely turned off by what you hear from this person or about this job. It may not be a fit on your end. Here also, you may decide, this isn't working. I did all this work, all these applications, and all these connection calls only to land the interview and not have it be a fit. It could be enough to call it quits and halt all efforts, to decide to take the summer off. But really, this is the next hurdle that you have just passed, opening the doors to interviews. Each one is practice in that forum. Each one offers feedback, even if they provide none. You have the evaluation you can conduct on your own of what went well, what didn't go well, and what you want to do differently next. Where there is one interview, there are more. Keep going. The next stage is that one interview will turn into final rounds. At first, this is exciting, but if it doesn't work out, then it can take the wind out of your sails. All that work to get to the end and then not be selected, it can feel maddening. But then again, it's proof that you can do this. It's prepared you for final rounds with others. It helped you refine what questions you want to ask to ensure fit from your side and what red flags to look out for. Imagine giving up now when the next final round could turn into an offer. This next stage of receiving the offer may include that offer being lower than what you had in mind. So you have to say no, or you negotiate, but they won't budge. This could be when you call it quits. But then you would never get to the application or coffee chat that led to the interview, that led to the final round, that led to the offer that you wanted to accept. I take us down this path to recognize that even a successful job search is filled with many no's, with many perceived failures at each stage that really are just stepping stones to the exact outcome that you want. Deciding each stage means something has gone wrong, or that you're a flawed candidate, or your luck is bad, or whatever other characterization keeps you avoiding the search and beating yourself up, that will just slow the process and sabotage your success here, and make the process feel unbearable. Instead, let's normalize the different stages of this job search. Hearing silence or rejection on an application. No shows to coffee chats or no leads to an interview. A no after a final round. A lowball offer. All of this precedes receiving the offer you want to accept. This is the process. Let's move on to takeaway number 4 and decide what a successful job search means to you, whether you are still working or not. If you don't define how you will measure success, you will always be giving yourself a low grade. And that does sound like a pretty awful search experience. One of my clients recognized that lesson this week. Without defining success, the overachievers in us default to a mode of never enough and have us beating ourselves up at every turn. So, let's define a successful job search for you. Resist the urge to make it receiving an offer in week 1. Here are some parameters to consider when you define a successful search for you at this time. How many days per week will you work your search? In between what hours? What actions will you take during that time? What targets do you want to have for those actions in the form of applications submitted, contacts from the company found, communications to those contacts, requests for coffee chats, live events that you registered for, coffee chats attended, live events attended, connections made at events and contacted afterwards, interview prep, following up on leads and conversations. This is just to get you started. Just like in our businesses, we can't manage what we don't measure. So measure your job search. Look back at what you accomplished. Learn from what led to fruitful conversations and do more of that. Don't let any lead go cold without follow-up. Become strategic with what live events you attend or which networking groups are most fitting. Value your time and spend it on the highest return activities. But remember, deciding nothing is high ROI because they haven't led to the job offer yet isn't accurate and isn't a suitable excuse to tap out. Taking action that can lead to success is better than taking 0 steps towards it every time. Measure your inputs to the process and celebrate every seed planted, even every no you hear, as it's getting you closer to the yes. Extract the value from every no to apply for next time. And now for takeaway number 5. It turns out the job search can be a test of our endurance. Less of a physical endurance, of course, but more like an Iron Man for the mind. Can you hear no's and still remember the value that you bring? Can you be at one of the several stages without the final successful outcome in hand and still be proud of yourself and have your own back for doing the work and working the process? This is the test of your will and commitment. Here's what I find gets in our head the most. This fear that we will invest all this effort and never get the job offer. That's fear that has us wanting to conserve energy or not to use up goodwill by reaching out to others to connect or to ask for help. It can seem like the worst case scenario would be burning through all this effort and all these asks to connect with nothing to show for it ever. So our fearful survival brain offers self-sabotage and packages it like the easy out from the search. It's sneaky and will present all the reasons why that would be acceptable. It's summer. Maybe your health should be your top priority. Maybe time with family or friends or work in the community is a better use of time. Beware when these ideas come up, when really your top priority, if you're honest, is securing the new role. In order to quell the uncertainty without sabotaging yourself by quitting the search, I'd like to offer you that only you decide if you might stop without having a job offer in hand. You could decide jobs are beneath you, or the culture at a company is not good enough, sure. But you could also decide here and now that you won't take no for an answer, and no matter how many no's you hear, that you will keep going. What's that popular commercial right now? Whatever you believe is possible for you, you will be right. If you commit to getting a new job no matter what, you will. If you decide it's 50-50 whether you will ever work again, you will be right. This fifth takeaway is that you bring the certainty by deciding and committing that you won't stop the search until you accept an offer. The sixth takeaway is how to shift from a downward spiral of thoughts and actions to an upward spiral. When the search feels like a struggle, here is what is underneath the hood. We have these thoughts on repeat as our main focus. Some version of, I'm doing this wrong. This is taking forever. This is taking longer than I thought. This is taking longer than it should. I must not be enough. This isn't working out for me. I may never find a job. I have to pace myself. I have to conserve energy. I should be able to get this done myself. I don't like to ask for help. I don't know what to say to people. I don't know how to solve this problem. Add to this list with others that come to mind. Now, when our focus is here, this is how we feel. Hopeless, tired, exhausted, frustrated, resentful, disappointed, and discouraged. So from that place, we end up choosing these actions. Take a break, distract ourselves, scroll, compare and despair on LinkedIn to our contemporaries' highlight reels. Say it's the job market. Say it's AI. Say it's ageism. Say it's discrimination. Slow down on applying. Hide behind the keyboard instead of talking to humans. Those actions create these results. Less conversations, less interviews, less final rounds, less offers. In contrast now, the upward spiral looks like this. First, we focus on these thoughts on repeat. I'm not stopping until I have a new job. I can do this. I give myself credit for every effort I make. I'm learning how to do this search well. Every step I take could lead to the next opportunity. No's mean that I'm putting myself out there and doing my job. I don't need any one job. If they turn me down, it's their loss. We're just dating. We're just testing for fit. Each step I take in this search energizes me. I am building momentum. The flywheel is already going. With that focus, we feel purposeful, compelled, committed, grounded, confident, secure. And then we end up choosing these actions. Measure the inputs, take action daily, celebrate effort, persist, contact humans, meet with humans, try new things, follow up. These results then become more probable. More conversations, more interviews, more offers, more options. Okay, let's move on to takeaway number 7. You may say, Sherry, yes, I get that initially I may have set arbitrary expectations. Ones like, this should take 3 months or 6 months, but then it took longer. And maybe it's taken longer than your financial situation can accommodate. And now you want to know what to do when you urgently need to wrap things up. Here are options to consider when you need to wrap up your job search ASAP. Are you ready? Number 1, you can lower your standards, be it compensation, content of work, location, days in office required. We have preferences, but when the preference to be in the next role is more important, we can reconsider. Number 2, broaden your parameters. Whatever industry or company you previously wrote off, reconsider. My first full-time role was at a company that I thought would never be a good fit for me. I ended up joining because I interviewed with a manager who really inspired me, and I ended up building a massive career there. Being open to that possibility got me in the door. Number 3, tighten your lifestyle. If you aren't willing to compromise your standards or parameters, you can instead adjust your lifestyle to make the finances work. And number 4, the fallback action is to accept that it's taking longer than you thought and to keep going. And my final takeaway, number 8, is not to do it alone. If you are ready for support in sustaining your search and accelerating your results, here's how I help business professionals seeking a new job opportunity. First, clarity and decisions in leading their career, what they really want, determining their non-negotiables. And here are a few ways I like to frame it, almost like in a menu, so that together we can rank their priorities and what they want next. First, the level of rewards and recognition. Maybe they're looking for promotion, a level of compensation. Second, the level of work, flexibility, remote, proximity, hours. Next, content of work, something that they're passionate about, the substance of what the work entails. Next, they may bring a fear of job loss. So considering any pressure they have to provide, they may evaluate the risk and reward profile of any opportunity. And lastly, the level of skill required. Does it leverage their expertise? The second step that I take these clients through is a perspective shift in leadership of self for how they are managing their time, energy, and mindset in the search so that they show up their best in interviews and are always making progress. The third step is strategic action in leadership of others, their network, headhunters, interviewers, always having concrete next steps each week to leverage these relationships to close on the roles they want. If you could use coaching support, your next step is to book a complimentary conversation with me to explore how coaching can help you. I will include that upfront in the show notes so you can book on my calendar now. Finally, some closing thoughts. Keep taking the next small step. Keep tracking what you are getting done. Decide ahead of time what's a successful week of the search based on the inputs. Your brain may be defaulting to this refrain that you are never enough. You're not doing enough, even when that's actually fake news. Feeling more relaxed can help you perform better. So here's a mindset to try on for size and to use as often as it helps you in this, the Iron Man for the mind. I don't need any single role. There are opportunities coming up all the time. I am in demand. So I'm going to be me, do my best, and it's a done deal. I'm creating the role exactly where is best for me. I'll see many of you at my masterclass on the 25th at 11 a.m. Eastern. Register at the first link in the show notes, and I look forward to showing you how to take charge of your career. Until next time.
Looking for support in applying the principles and strategies in today's episode? Sherry coaches clients one-on-one as their trusted confidant and advisor, helping each client create the work and life they had only dreamed of. To schedule your complimentary career strategy session, go to sherrygregoff.com/apply to book time with her today. It's one simple step that can change everything.